Hello BrewTubers! Happy Homebrew Wednesday and happy Christmas too, of course, because it's Christmas today, isn't it? Well, it's not actually. I'm recording this on Saturday the 21st, the Saturday before Christmas anyway. So, my name is Paul. This is my first Homebrew Wednesday video. In fact, it's my first ever video on YouTube that I've produced myself and uploaded and shared with people, so be gentle please. I guess I should introduce myself. I'm British, obviously, you can hopefully tell. I live just outside Llanidloes in Powys, mid Wales. I'm not Welsh, I'm English. I was brought here to this part of the country with a job, and we love it here, by the way. I've been brewing about 18 months, so really not very long, very much a newbie, very much enjoying myself and yeah, enjoying the fruits of my labour after the first few batches, which I guess everyone has. So yeah, I've been enjoying various people's content related to brewing on YouTube for, I don't know, the best part of a year perhaps. After my wife bought me a book on fermented foods, which included a few basic beer recipes, I kind of caught the home brewing bug and jumped onto YouTube to learn a bit more and never really looked back. So I'm 95%, I would say, YouTube trained in brewing beer. I'm proud of it as well. So yeah, I'm really interested to watch everybody's Homebrew Wednesday videos, watch various tips and tricks, techniques, learn new skills. So I thought I should get on here, introduce myself, say a few things, drink a little bit of beer, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. So I've got a few things, sort of topics lined up that I felt like I wanted to talk about. But first, of course, I should probably get on and open a homebrew. So I've got one here. This is my latest brew. It was kind of intended as a Christmas beer. It's a vanilla porter, yeah. So it's a dark beer. It was bottled about 10 days ago, so it's probably just about ready to drink. It might still be a little bit undercarbonated because it's fairly cool where we've been storing it. I've had one already, so I know what it's like, and I'm not of the mind really to start reviewing my own beer first YouTube video in. So this is really just to get into the swing of things. So let's pop her open, see what happens. My favourite glass. Okay, listen for the small hiss, which I reckon is about right for this style of beer. We'll see how she's looking. No smoke. Clean cap. Fairly malty aroma. Not getting many hops. I did put there were 1 or 2 hop additions in here. Anyway, let's get on. So it's nice and clear, nice and dark, nice and clear. I think I'm going to have to be a bit more aggressive pouring this to get it to form head. I don't think it's carbonated properly yet. We'll see what it's like. Should do. So we've got a reasonable head, a brownish white head. So let's give her a go. Cheers, happy Homebrew Wednesday, happy Christmas. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. Getting some vanilla notes through. It's a few days since I had the first one out of this batch, and the first one I thought was a little bit astringent, and this one, you know, in a short space of time seems to have mellowed a little, so I'm quite happy with that. I thought originally it was from, I added the vanilla into the secondary, and the vanilla pods were soaking in vodka for a few days just to make sure that they were completely sterile, sanitised, before they went into secondary. And I thought the astringency might be coming from the vodka, but it seems to have mellowed out, like I've said, and yeah. That's going to be a good one. So, I guess a little bit about my brewing history. As I mentioned, I first got into brewing through my wife. She bought me a book about fermented foods. So I had things like sauerkraut, sourdough bread, which I bake every week actually now, and I might do a video on that in the future. Kimchi, but also beer, of course, beer and wine and various different things that can be brewed into alcoholic beverages. From that book, I did a recipe of a really simple extract beer involving a tin of Coopers, some hops, a bag of brewing sugar, and completely messed it up actually. I think the yeast that I used was awful, and the whole batch just turned out terribly, and it was not really drinkable, but I drank it anyway. Just to get the bottles, obviously, you know, so I could do my next brew. The next brew I did was a kit, one of the St. Peter's kits, the IPA. Turned out a little better this time, but still not the best. It had that kind of kit beer taste, and again I drank all of it, but it was hard going still. Following that, I started to get some skills, started to learn some things, and started to find some really good content on YouTube. My next beer was a chocolate stout, which was an extract beer using a can of Coopers again, some light dried malt extract, and some raw cacao, and some specialty grains. Yeah, I steeped some specialty grains. And that beer turned out great. So I guess I'd got over the hump towards getting something drinkable, and yeah, I've not looked back from there. So I've pushed forwards. I'm now doing partial mash batches. So this is a partial mash. It was 1.5 kilos of Marisota, a bit of crystal, a bit of patent black patent malt, a couple of kilos of dry lime malt extract. Yeah, did a boil of about 13 litres. I don't remember what hops I used actually off the top of my head. I've got it written down somewhere. And yeah, this is turning out pretty well. So as I said, I'm not going to do a full review of my own beer first ever video. That would be a bit big-headed of me, wouldn't it? So I have got another beer that I'm going to review towards the end, but there's a couple of things I'd like to just talk about first. So first things first, I brewed a new batch. Whoops. Brewed a batch a week ago, so last Saturday. It was a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale clone, so pretty bog standard partial mash IPA with Magnum, Pearl and Cascade. Everything went well, brew day. We got about 20 litres of wort, pitched in the yeast using US-05, sealed everything up and took it up to the airing cupboard. Within 24 hours, easily 24 hours, perhaps a bit less, we were getting good vigorous bubbling. And yeah, I was really pleased. I thought I wasn't going to secondary that beer, and with any luck it should ferment out by now, and I'd have another drinkable beer for Christmas with any luck, or at least New Year. Anyway, unfortunately, a few weeks ago we had a bit of a killer heating bill. We're up in the sticks here, so we don't have mains gas or anything like that. We have to have oil central heating and wood-fired burners, which is lovely, but it does mean you have to pay up front for that. And unfortunately we ran out of oil a couple of weeks ago, and it was rather expensive to fill the tank back up, and we'd used the oil that we had very quickly indeed. which was a bit scary. So now the heating's been off more or less, unless we have a cold snap. So the whole house, except in the rooms where we've got wood burners, is quite cold. So middle of last week, bearing in mind the house is quite cold, we had a really cold snap. We had a little bit of snow up here in the hills, and it was down to at least 0, perhaps a bit below 0 during the night. And unfortunately, I think that took the temperature down, but below probably about 10 degrees in the room where this beer was being fermented, and I stalled it, which is the first time I've ever done that. So kicking myself really, because I should have thought about it and tried to find the beer a bit of a warmer place to be over that couple of days when I knew that it was going to be getting really cold. So my own fault, but hey, these things happen. So it stalled about 3 days ago, and I've got it here. We're at about 10:24, perhaps 10:23. So I went away and did some research. I've never had a stalled fermentation before, but you know, I obviously knew that happened, and that was a problem that sometimes had to be dealt with. So I did some research and found some useful videos and some useful content just on the web as well about what to do with it. A lot of people suggest giving it a good stir and warming it up, so that was the first thing I did, because I thought, well, I'll give it a go. It's only a partial mash. It's not. It wasn't an expensive beer to make, although there were quite a lot of hops in it. So I thought, I'll give that a go. I don't mind a few esters. It's only got to come down another kind of 0.01 to get it into the right ballpark of dryness of where I'd really like it to be. So I thought I'd give that a go. So I put it on a heat pad, which I had to buy, because obviously I wouldn't put it on the heat pad last week after I brewed it otherwise. And it doesn't seem to have helped really at all. It doesn't seem to have come down anything. So I was a bit stuck by this morning, kind of wondering what to do, because I really don't want to bottle it at this kind of gravity. For one, it's a bit sweet. It doesn't taste great to me. The sweetness on the front of the sample that I've tried was not to my taste. But number two, I've only got a bottling system. I don't have any kind of kegging or barrel system, so there'd be a big risk of bottle bombs, of course. So I really don't want that. So what to do? The next recommendation that I found, which I thought sounded like a good idea, was to make up a starter using some yeast that I should have in stock, and get it going with some dry malt extract in a small bottle or a demijohn or something like that. Get it going until it's at kind of high Kreuzen point, where you've got lots of foam on top of the beer, and pitch it at that point, making sure that I've got my temperatures right. So the temperature of the beer might be a tiny bit warmer than the temperature of the starter, making sure I've got my temperatures at the right level. Only one problem with that: I don't have any yeast in stock, or I thought I didn't have any yeast in stock, which is silly because it's only US-05, which is really, really cheap, of course. But however, I watched a really interesting video, I guess it was a couple of months ago now, on saving yeast and washing yeast samples and keeping them. And I remembered I actually had a couple in the fridge. I've got one here. In fact, this is the Nottingham yeast that I used to ferment this porter with, so that's quite interesting. So what you do with this, I use these glass bottles which have passata in them from the supermarket. They're quite good because the labels come off easily and they don't stick loads of gummy stuff all around the side of the bottle. They're quite large capacity, and they've got a good seal on the lid, so you know when it's all sealed in. Stick all these in a big pan with loads of water. Get it to boiling, hold it at boiling point for maybe 5 minutes or something like that. Don't put the glass bottles in boiling water from cold, because you might smash them. So you put the whole lot in cold and then heat it up gradually. And then you take the bottles out, making sure to give yourself a good quantity of the boiling water inside. Seal them up with the lid, and leave them on the side overnight or something like that to cool down. And then in the morning, or whenever you come to it, when they're cool, you've got a nice container, seal container, because these lids seal properly when this button goes down, of completely sterile water. And from that, you take the beer which you've been fermenting, rack it off into secondary or bottle it or do whatever you're going to do, and you should end up with the yeast cake and probably a little bit of beer in the bottom as well. So with that, I mixed the whole lot up, true, yeast, beer, everything, to make sure I had a really thick gloopy solution that would kind of pour, and then take a sanitised container, a measuring jug or something like that, and pour the whole lot into one of these bottles which has got the sanitised water in, the cooled sanitised water. Then you mix the whole lot up and leave it overnight again to settle out. And you'll find when you settle it out, you'll find you've got different layers within this. So at the top you'll have a layer of water, at the bottom you'll have a darker layer which is mostly true hop debris, dead yeast cells, the protein that's come out of the beer, that kind of thing. But in the middle you'll have a lighter colour which is yeast, apparently. It's the live yeast cells which were still in the brew when you racked it off into secondary or into bottles or into your keg or whatever. But of course you've got all that trube in the bottom, so you don't want that. So when you boil this up, you should do it with 3 or 4 of these bottles perhaps. And then the next step, when you've done your first bottle and it's settled out, is you pour off the clear water at the top, and then try and pour just the white layer into the next bottle along. And you'll get a little bit of trube in there, and you know, some of the crap that you don't really want. But then you can shake it up again, leave it to rest for another 8 hours overnight or something like that, and repeat the process. And eventually you get to the point where you've got a yeast which is relatively well washed. And this is what we have here, which has been sitting in my fridge for a few weeks since this porter was brewed. And I remembered this morning that I had one of these for an IPA that I brewed about 5-6 weeks ago. And it wasn't using US-05, so it wasn't ideal. But it had some yeast in it, and I thought, why not, we'll give it a go. So I brewed up a starter, made sure the temperatures were more or less equal, so I put them in the same room after the starter had been cooled in a sanitised demijohn next to each other, made sure the temperatures had both acclimatised, so I left them a couple of hours, pitched, so poured off the clear water off the top of the sample until I had just maybe a centimetre in the bottom, so then I can swish it round to get all of the yeast in solution and pitch that into the and it's sat in the room, in my sitting room now, which is the warmest room in the house, bubbling away nicely and getting kind of up to the high Kreuzen level that was mentioned in the video that I watched. So I think, given the situation with the stuck fermentation that I've got upstairs, that the best thing to do is to pitch that maybe tonight. I'll have a look at how it's fermenting when I finish doing this video, and hopefully restart the fermentation so I can just try and bring it down another 10 points or something like that, just so it's at a drinkable level. Like I said, it's a different yeast species, but well, it's the best I can do. It's a few days till Christmas. I don't have a homebrew shop anywhere near me, and yeah, if I ordered something on the internet I wouldn't get it for several days, so I think that's the best that I can do at this point. So yeah, that's one of the subjects that I've got to talk about today. So, cheers. Any comments, questions, obviously leave them below. I'm going to put this to one side now. Finish that in a bit. Really nice, I'm quite impressed with myself. Oh, by the way, I hope I'm going all grain for Christmas. That is, I should get a bit of cash from my folks. That's what they usually do. Very kind of them, of course. And I've got a cooler in the cupboard in the kitchen which I've been saving. And I've already got the plans sorted. The manifold design for the false bottom from Harry, Harry Brew 69, thank you. I think I'll also do a spar jar. I also need a propane burner and a larger pot to boil with. I've got a bottle of propane outside already, so that's good. And yeah, then I can go all grain and have even more fun with brewing. But anyway, I mentioned I was going to do a nice review. So earlier on today, I went out and went to my local vegetable shop, actually, funnily enough. Vegetable shop that stock all kinds of local produce, though. And they also stock lots of local beer, cider, and a few wines which are not local but they're very nice. And I spotted this in here. Now this is a beer which is really local. The brewery's only about 3 miles down the road. It's in a town called Llanidloes in mid Wales. And the beer is called The Wine, and their logo is a big W like this. Wine is spelt W-A-E-N, so it's The Wine Brewery, Llanidloes, mid Wales. And this is their Christmas beer for this year. It's called Snowball, and it is a chocolate, coconut and vanilla stout. And I don't know if you can see that, but 7% ABV, so it's a little bit special. So I thought rather than reviewing one of my own beers fully, I'd do this one, just for anyone that wants to know. There's lots of beer reviews out there on the internet, on YouTube, but given that this is presumably a limited edition beer, and it's from a fairly small craft brewery in a little known rural nook or cranny of the country, that there's a good chance that this might be the only review out there at the moment, so let's give it a go. I like to drink my beers fairly cold, so it has been chilling in the fridge for a few hours. It's not chilled right now, and it's been out of there for half an hour now, so it's warmed up a little bit, so we'll see what it's like. I think, yes, contains sediment, so pour carefully. So it is obviously a bottle conditioned ale, really nice label, doesn't say anything about what's in it other than it's a stout with chocolate and coconut and vanilla, and that it's 7% ABV. And if you want to know more about the wine, then they have a website, thewinebrewery.co.uk, or on Twitter as well, at the Wine Brewery, wine spelt W-A-E-N. So find out more about these guys because they make really, really, really nice beer. So without further ado, let's give it a go. Ooh, really little hiss. No smoke. Oh wow, yeah. So first off, big hit of coconut. Not getting much of that chocolate or vanilla, but yeah, they're really getting the coconut aroma there. I'm not a big fan of coconut, so this will be interesting. So let's give it a pour. It's quite a lot darker than the porter that I made. It's very dark indeed, actually. Beautiful colour. Again, I think I'm going to have to be a little bit vigorous just to try and get a head to form. And I'm also trying to watch this stream quite carefully just to make sure that I don't get any of the nasties in the bottom. Okay. So as you can see, there's not much of a head on it. Let's give it another sniff. Yeah, still getting that coconut, but also some malty notes through now as well. I think this is a barley beer, so I don't think it's got any wheat or rye or oats or anything like that in it, although I'm not sure. It doesn't give a full list of ingredients. That's interesting there, and there has been a small head coming to the top now, so obviously there were some bubbles in there that were just coming up and they've surfaced. So, cheers. Oh, it's really, really smooth. Creamy. Velvety texture. The coconut is quite prominent. That's coming to the front quite a lot, so although not unpleasantly so, really quite nice coconutty overtone. I'm struggling to find the chocolate or the vanilla. Perhaps chocolate on the back end a little bit, and I guess the vanilla goes in with that, a flavour that goes in quite well with chocolate. The aroma is very coconutty, but yeah, the overriding sensation is that smoothness, and the body is beautiful. It really is like velvet. In terms of hops, there's no real hop aroma to it. It's fairly bitter. I'd say there's quite a lot of bittering hops in there, but I don't think there's really any later hop additions into this one. Absolutely black in the glass. Can't see a thing through that. But yeah, that's a very nice brew. So yeah, if you fancy a bit of that, then get onto the internet, see if you can find a supplier somewhere. The Wine Brewery in Llanidloes, mid Wales. They have some excellent products, other products as well, mainline things that they sell all year round. One of which I've got in the fridge, and I'll do a quick review for a future video. Yeah, check them out. So, I guess that's me. It would be great to hear from any of you that have watched this and have any comments, questions, or anything like that. And yeah, have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas. If you're watching this on Christmas, which I hope you're not, because you should be spending time with your family. But if you are, I hope you're having a nice beer anyway. And we'll see you soon. I don't know if I'll manage to do updates every single week. I've got quite a busy life with children and work and things like that. Oh. Sorry about that for YouTubers. My battery ran out. So professional job from me on the first Homebrew Wednesday. What I was going to say was have a happy Christmas, enjoy Homebrew, and I'll hopefully see you pretty soon. It'd be great to hear from many of you that have seen this. Okay, cheers. Merry Christmas.